Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Carrie's Gardening Channel. So today is April the 24th, 2020, and what I want to talk about today is how to get the most harvest out of your vegetables. And I'm going to be talking about like cucumbers, squash, zucchini, your tomatoes, and stuff like that. So what I like to do, these are new plants here. You can see how much my cucumbers are growing here. And what I like to do is, because these are young plants, the first fruit that they start giving, once it's pollinated, and I hand pollinate these, when they're about 3 inches long, I take the cucumbers off. And the reason why I do that is because I want to kick the plant into producing more cucumbers. So I do the same thing like with the squash. When your squash and your zucchini start getting really big, what will actually happen is it'll signal to the plant to slow down producing. Will stop producing on you. Or it's really going to slow them down. So what I found best is when they're to your desired size, go ahead and take them off. But the first fruit that they start giving, I recommend taking that off when it's a little smaller. You can still eat it, but it's gonna signal to the plants, hey, I'm not done yet, and it's going to get them producing more. Now the same thing with the tomatoes. If you let your tomatoes get too ripe on your stalks, they will actually stop producing, or it's going to slow them down. So I have tomatoes here to harvest and take off. I've been taking tomatoes off of the early treat hybrid tomato in the greenhouse about every other day. And I'm taking them off. They're flowering more. They're producing more tomatoes, which is a good thing. So this is one of my squash plants here. Now, if I did pollinate this, and I also recommend kind of staggering your plantings a little bit. Like if you do an earlier crop, like I did with some of my cucumbers, and then I did some a little bit later. And what that does is, sometimes when your plants start producing, they're not synced together yet, meaning like the female flowers will be blooming and the male flowers won't be, or vice versa. So by having that earlier planting there, they should have the cucumbers or your squash blooming where you could pollinate your new ones. And you can pollinate your squash and your zucchini back and forth because they're both in the squash family. Now, another thing is your plant foods that you're using. If you're using a high nitrogen plant food on your, like your tomatoes or your cucumbers or your squash, anything that would give a fruit like that, what's going to happen is that nitrogen is going to push everything into the foliage, and it's not going to do anything to feed for the blossoms. So, like EcoScraps 555 all-purpose plant food, that's a great plant food. I do use that one. It is an organic plant food. I'll have links down in the description for the plant foods that I'm going to talk about here. Tomato Tone from Epsima, that works great on your tomato plants. And it also helps with giving them the calcium that they need to help prevent blossom end rot. And, I think what else? We do use a product called Sea Magic. And Sea Magic, what I've seen from that product is it helps the plants to bloom faster. It also helps to increase the sweetness of your crops. Now, on my cucumbers, I don't let the soil dry out on them, because what happens when your soil dries out, it starts pulling that sweetness out of your cucumbers, and then they get bitter. So you want to make sure you keep your cucumber plants moist but not soggy. And we do also sometimes feed them with some Epsom salts. And we do that with like our peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, different things. We mix 2 tablespoons per gallon of water. And then we water just the soil with that mixture. And that helps the plants to bloom. It also can help with disease resistance. And the Sea Magic can help with disease resistance. And it can also help with certain blights. It makes your plants stronger from what we've seen from using the Sea Magic product. So your eggplants, your peppers, and your tomatoes are all in the Nightshade family. So they require the same type of care for them. And your eggplants and your peppers, they like the same types of plant foods that your tomatoes like. So if you feed your tomatoes with it, you can feed your peppers and your eggplants with it. And we do the same thing like with our peppers. When they first start producing, we get those peppers off, even if they're green, and then they're going to give longer into the season. What happens when you let your peppers start turning is it starts signaling to the plant to slow down on production. And what you want to do is you want to get the most out of your plants. So we do take the peppers off even when they're green, when they're at an edible size for us, and that helps the plants to keep producing. Now I'm gardening in Pennsylvania in Zone 5B, and I do have a shorter growing season, and we want to get the most out of our vegetables for harvesting wise. So getting that bloom production is an important thing. So down here you can see this is one of my cucumbers here. This is a tender green burpless cucumber. I'm going to let this get just a little bit larger. I might actually take it off today, and then I will let the plant continue to grow. Now this one here I already had harvested one off of, and it did start producing more cucumbers on it. You can see there's another one up here, and I have already pollinated that one. So I am hand pollinating the cucumbers in the greenhouse, because hand pollinating your plants will give you more of a harvest, especially your cucumbers, and especially like if you're down on your pollinators. Getting that hand pollination will help your plants to yield more. Sometimes when you get like your deformed fruits and stuff, what's actually happening is the blossoms are not getting pollinated enough, and it's producing those deformed fruits then. So hand pollinating can really boost your crops, like on your cucumbers. Now my cucumbers here, they're growing in hanging baskets, and the hanging baskets that I use are between the 10 to 12 inch hanging baskets. And like I said, you want to keep your soil moist, you don't want it dry, you don't want it soggy. So even if you don't have like a garden, you can still grow your cucumbers in containers. And I used Miracle-Gro potting mix with these, and then I mixed some of the organic plant foods in with it. So I hope you find this video helpful through your gardening season. So if you like my video, please like, comment, subscribe. Please don't forget to hit the little notification button. It will tell you when I put a new video on. And also follow me on Twitter. I'll have a link down in the description for my Twitter account. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye.